Do you know the signs of autism? Autism, a complex, multi-layered, and often misunderstood condition, affects many people globally. This video aims to shed light on this topic, providing a comprehensive guide to help you better understand the signs of autism. We believe that knowledge is power, and by learning these signs you can better understand and empathize with those who may have autism. So whether you're here for personal understanding or to support someone else, we're glad you're here. Stay tuned to discover some common signs of autism. Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, encompasses a broad range of conditions. It's like a rainbow with diverse shades, each representing different challenges and strengths. At the core, autism is a neurological and developmental disorder. It begins early in childhood and lasts throughout a person's life. Autism isn't one size fits all. It's a spectrum disorder, meaning its manifestations vary widely from person to person. One individual might have severe symptoms affecting their daily life, while another might have mild symptoms and can function independently. The disorder primarily affects two areas: communication and behavior. People with autism might struggle with social interactions, often finding it hard to understand others' feelings. They may also exhibit repetitive behaviors and have specific, intense interests. But remember, every person with autism is unique. They each have their own experiences, abilities, and challenges. So it's crucial not to make assumptions based on the label alone. Now let's dive into the signs of autism. Sign number 1, difficulty with social interactions. Autism can manifest in a multitude of ways, and one of the most prominent signs is difficulty with social interactions. This isn't about being shy or introverted. It's about struggling to understand and navigate the complexities of social norms that most people take for granted. For instance, someone with autism might find it challenging to maintain a back-and-forth conversation. They might not know when it's their turn to speak, or they might focus on their own interests without realizing that the other person wants to change the topic. It's not that they're being rude or self-centered. They simply struggle to grasp the unspoken rules of conversation. The second sign to look out for is a lack of eye contact. Many of us instinctively make eye contact when we're talking to someone. It's a way of showing that we're engaged and interested. But for people with autism, maintaining eye contact can feel uncomfortable or even overwhelming. This doesn't mean they're not paying attention. In fact, they might be listening more intently than anyone else in the room. They simply process information differently, and avoiding eye contact is a way of managing sensory input. Finally, let's discuss the inability to understand social cues. Most of us can pick up on subtle hints, like a yawn signaling that someone is bored, or a sigh indicating frustration. But for people with autism, these cues might go unnoticed. They might continue talking about a topic long after the other person has lost interest, simply because they didn't pick up on that yawn or sigh. Again, this isn't about being insensitive. It's about processing information in a different way. These are just a few signs. There are more to learn about. It's important to remember that autism is a spectrum, and everyone experiences it differently. What's more, these signs alone do not constitute a diagnosis. If you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms, it's important to consult with a healthcare professional. Remember, understanding is the first step towards acceptance and support. The next sign to look out for is repetitive behavior. This is a common feature in individuals with autism. Repetitive behavior can take many forms. It might be a child lining up their toys in a very particular way, or an adult tapping their fingers in a specific pattern. Sometimes the behavior can seem harmless, like rocking back and forth, but in some cases it can be disruptive or even self-harming, such as biting or hitting oneself. Next, we have obsessive interests. Now, we all have things we're passionate about, whether it's a favorite sports team, a hobby, or a type of music. However, for someone with autism, these interests can become all-consuming. They might focus on a single topic, like trains or dinosaurs, to the exclusion of all others. They may spend hours researching and talking about their interest, often with great intensity and attention to detail. This isn't just a passing fancy, but rather a deep, enduring fascination. The final sign in this set is unusual reactions to sensory input. This can range from being overly sensitive to certain stimuli, to being under-responsive, or even seeking out intense sensory experiences. For instance, a person with autism might find the hum of a refrigerator unbearable, or they may not react at all to extreme temperatures. Alternatively, they might seek out strong sensations like spinning or rocking, which can be soothing for them. It's important to note that these signs are not exclusive to autism. Many people engage in repetitive behaviors, have intense interests, or experience unusual sensory reactions without having autism. However, when these behaviors are combined, and particularly when they interfere with daily life or development, it's worth considering a potential autism diagnosis. In the end, the key is to remember that autism is a spectrum disorder, which means that it affects people in different ways. Some people may exhibit all of these signs, while others might show only a few. Remember, these signs can vary from person to person. In summary, autism is a spectrum disorder that affects communication and behavior. Throughout this video, we've taken a deep dive into the various signs that might suggest someone is on the autism spectrum. Let's take a moment to recap these. We discussed how individuals with autism might experience challenges with social interaction, such as difficulty understanding and responding to social cues. We also touched on the unique behavioral patterns that can be observed, like repetitive actions or an intense focus on specific interests. We also highlighted that language and communication can be areas of difficulty, with some individuals perhaps struggling to maintain a conversation or understand nonverbal communication. However, it's important to remember that these signs do not definitively diagnose autism. They are merely potential indicators, and the presence of one or even several of these signs does not automatically mean a person has autism. Each individual is unique, and so is their experience with autism. If you have concerns about yourself or a loved one, don't hesitate to seek professional advice. A healthcare provider or a specialist in autism can provide a thorough assessment and guide you through the next steps. Remember, understanding is the first step to acceptance, and acceptance is the first step to progress. Stay informed, stay supportive. Together, we can foster a more inclusive and understanding world for those on the autism spectrum.